Hi, my name is Shia Ritchie, and today I'm going to talk about sex-linked traits and gene chromosomes. Now, I've tried to do this video without script before, and it took 8 minutes, so I'm going to read off of the script that I wrote for this project and try to do it in 5 or less. So here we go. Sex chromosomes are types of chromosomes that determine sex in species, specifically in mammals. The two mammalian sex chromosomes are X and Y. Determination of assigned female gonads at birth are the combination of two X chromosomes, while the determination of assigned male gonads at birth are an X and Y chromosome. However, this is not 100% going to be the only two outcomes of sex determination, nor is it 100% the outcome of assigning gender, as that is usually assigned by presentation of genitalia at birth. Some combinations of sex chromosomes are known to generate both genitals at birth, while other combinations of sex chromosomes generate atypical development that can sometimes be fatal. But let's start from the beginning. So you might have heard the loosely factual phrase, gender is determined by the father. That is because within a human assigned male at birth, their sperm contains both X and Y chromosomes, while within a human assigned female at birth, the eggs in their ovaries are solely X chromosomes, as I've already said before. So there is validity to this phrase because it does depend on which sperm cell, either X or Y, fuses with the X chromosome during fertilization. Sex-linked traits are usually X-linked because the X chromosome is larger than Y and contains abundantly more gene proteins. Therefore, traits on the X chromosome are more likely to express themselves over Y. You may also, or you may not know, that when it comes to congenital diseases, syndromes, abnormalities, or hereditary conditions that are known to affect both sexes, humans that have the XY sex pairing are more likely to inherit them. Let me explain why. So before, when I discussed gene expression being more abundant in X chromosomes, if there was an atypical gene expression on an X chromosome, the sex pairing of XX would be less likely to express it because the secondary X chromosome, the one that is not abnormal, acts as like a replicator essentially, expressing themselves over the abnormal gene and reduces and sometimes even prevents the expression of those genes, those abnormal genes. XY sex pairings do not have that secondary X chromosome as protection, so those recessive genes are going to express themselves as a congenital condition. So earlier in this discussion video, I mentioned that some combinations of sex chromosomes generate atypical development, some of which can even be fatal in humans, making them incompatible with life. So let's discuss this further with 4 examples. So the first thing that is important to know is that NIPT testing and ultrasound scans are the most assuring detection of sex chromosomal abnormalities. If a fetus was affected with chromosomal complexities, the parent will know during the prenatal period and can be prepared to explore their options. So the first one is called Turner syndrome. This syndrome happens when a secondary X chromosome is partially or completely deleted. Most pregnancies that have fetuses with Turner syndrome experience spontaneous miscarriage, unfortunately, mentioning before when I mentioned that some of these chromosomal pairings make a fetus incompatible with life. However, those who do go on to live and grow up have severe physical and learning disabilities they are incapable of undergoing puberty. There's another one called Klinefelter syndrome. This syndrome happens when there's a sex chromosome grouping of 2 X's and a Y. It's the most common sex chromosome disorder. Humans with Klinefelters usually have learning disabilities, small testes, and enlarged chests, and present inadequate development during puberty. These people could benefit, though, from testosterone hormone therapy. The third one is called trisomy X. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a syndrome where the sex chromosome pairings show 3 X chromosomes. So the extra X chromosome is usually inherited from the mother. Trisomy X does not often express itself abnormally in humans, so those with trisomy X could possess a lower intelligence, verbal difficulties, and issues with menstruation and fertility. However, these cases are rare. I'm at the 5-minute mark. I got like a minute and a half more. The last one is the XXY syndrome. This syndrome happens when the human has an extra Y chromosome, and it can express himself as a slightly lower intelligence and a few physical abnormalities, such as above average height. Sex chromosome abnormalities exist because of errors that occur in cell division during meiosis, known as non-disjunction. In non-disjunction, gametes contain varied numbers of chromosomes, and sometimes gametes form from diploids that have too many or too few chromosomes. So now let me show you an example of dominant and recessive gene expressions via Punnett squares.